The Kansas City Chiefs are back-to-back Super Bowl champions. They've won 3 Super Bowls and been to 6 straight AFC championship games with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. It didn't take very long, but by all accounts, the Chiefs are now a dynasty. Much like the long success of the Patriots with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, that success comes thanks to a legendary head coach and a legendary quarterback who that head coach drafted. Kansas City is now a dynasty, and it all comes back to Andy Reid. But first, thank you to Good Chop for sponsoring today's video. We absolutely love Good Chop, and it doesn't get easier than having good quality cuts show up right at your doorstep that don't cost a fortune. Good Chop's price per meal starts at $3.74. So not only will you save time, but you'll save money too. And guys, it's only the good stuff. Good Chop prides itself on sourcing meat that comes with no antibiotics or added hormones ever. No artificial ingredients, just the good stuff. It really is just such easy access to high quality good products. Good Chop offers fully customizable boxes of high quality meats and seafoods delivered right to your door on schedule. The products are vacuum sealed and flash frozen at peak freshness, so you can stock your freezer and cook whenever you want. We decided to make some tacos for us and our roommate, and it was super easy. The ground beef was great and it made for a super easy dinner. We didn't have to go out to the store and get the ground beef and didn't have to worry about the quality of the meat. And of course, we crushed those tacos. And you can too. Go to goodchop.com/YouTube and make sure to use our code JDProd120 or click the link down in the description to get $120 off across your first 4 boxes. Again, go to goodchop.com/YouTube and use our promo code JDProd120 or click the link down in the description to get $120 off across your first 4 boxes. Thank you again to Good Chop for sponsoring today's video. Let's get right back to it. Andy Reid was the Eagles head coach from 1999 to 2012, and he had a good amount of success in Philly, especially with Donovan McNabb on the roster. The Eagles made the NFC Championship for 4 straight years, but only won once, where they ended up playing in Super Bowl 39 against the Patriots, but ended up losing 24-21. New England won back-to-back Super Bowls with that victory, something that didn't happen again until Andy Reid did it himself in 2023. 4 years after their last appearance, the Eagles made another NFC Championship game in 2008, where again they lost, this time coming to the Cardinals. Andy Reid had this narrative that he couldn't win in big games, ironically pretty damn similar to what's going on with Kyle Shanahan now. After the 2009 season, the Eagles traded away a 33-year-old Donovan McNabb to Washington. That started a span where Reid had 4 different quarterbacks start over the next 3 years: Kevin Kolb, Michael Vick, Vince Young, and Nick Foles. Philadelphia got worse each season after trading away McNabb, and after the 2012 season ended, the Eagles didn't renew his contract. He was the longest tenured head coach in the NFL prior, and it didn't take very long for him to find a new job. 5 days after the regular season ended, Reid agreed to a 5-year contract to become the Chiefs' next head coach. When Kansas City hired Andy Reid, they hadn't won a playoff game since 1993, where they beat the then Oilers before losing to the Bills in the AFC Championship game. It was pretty rough when he got there. The Chiefs were coming off of a brutal 2-14 season under Romeo Crennel, who was named the full-time head coach after serving 3 games as the interim the year before. Andy Reid quickly made a move at quarterback once he became the Chiefs head coach, trading for Alex Smith from the 49ers and releasing Patriots legend Matt Castle. At the draft, the Chiefs had the 1st overall pick and took offensive tackle Eric Fisher out of Central Michigan. Now, he didn't exactly live up to being the 1st overall pick, but was a 2-time Pro Bowler and played for the Chiefs for 8 seasons. But it was the Chiefs pick in the 3rd round that would turn out to be a franchise-altering selection, drafting tight end Travis Kelce 63rd overall out of Cincinnati. It goes without saying the impact that he's had for the Chiefs. He had a 7-year span with over 1,000 yards in each season, is a 7-time All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler, and owns a handful of NFL records, like receiving yards in a season by a tight end and career postseason receptions for any position. He has obviously been a pivotal piece in the building of the Chiefs dynasty, and he was technically Andy Reid's 2nd ever draft pick in Kansas City. After going 2-14 the year before, 2024, the Chiefs went 11-5 in their first season under Reid. They made the playoffs, which was a huge improvement, and that alone made the season a big win. But then they completely imploded in the wildcard round against the Andrew Luck-led Colts. The Chiefs jumped out to a 38-10 lead and lost. The Colts somehow came back to win 45-44. Then in 2014, the Chiefs actually missed the playoffs after going 9-7. To this day, it's still the only time Andy Reid has ever missed the postseason in Kansas City. 2015 started off really rocky for the Chiefs. They went 1-5 to begin the year and lost star running back Jamal Charles to a torn ACL in week 5. It surely wasn't ideal, but Kansas City came roaring back. They finished 11-5 and won 10 straight games to make the playoffs, where they shut out the Texans 30-0 with Brian Hoyer starting. Then in the divisional round, the Chiefs gave the Patriots a fight, but ultimately couldn't stop Tom Brady as the Pats won 27-20. In 2016, Kansas City traded away their first-round pick, but they still had one hell of a draft. In the second round, they took Mississippi State defensive tackle Chris Jones. He has also been a major part to the Chiefs' success. Jones is a 5-time All-Pro and holds the NFL record for sacks in consecutive games at 11. Much later in that same draft, in the 5th round, Kansas City took West Alabama wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Tyreek was a beast with the Chiefs. He had over 1,000 yards the season before Patrick Mahomes even began starting, and continued his way with Mahomes and in Miami after he was traded to the Dolphins ahead of the 2022 season. Tyreek was a 2-time All-Pro wide receiver in Kansas City, and has been again in Miami after just 2 seasons there. He's coming off of 1,799 yards and 13 touchdowns, both the most in the league. But you can't overlook the fact that the Chiefs have now won back-to-back Super Bowls without him. Regardless, Tyreek Hill played a huge role in the Chiefs building of a dynasty. In 2016, the Chiefs were actually a really good team. They went 12-4 and won the AFC West for the first time under Andy Reid, something they've done for 8 straight seasons now. That KC team ended up losing to the Steelers 18-16 in the divisional round of the playoffs, but they were a really good team. In fact, 9 different players made the NFL Top 100 Players list. Alex Smith, Jamal Charles, Travis Kelce, and Jeremy Maclin all made it on the offensive side of the ball. Then there were 3 linebackers: Justin Houston, Derrick Johnson, and Tamba Hawley. Finally, Eric Berry and Marcus Peters made it from the secondary. The reality is, Andy Reid had already built a very good squad that was a perennial postseason team. They just couldn't get over the hump. The following season, KC made it all the way back to the playoffs after going 10-6, but again, couldn't win when it mattered and lost 22-21 to the Titans. The Chiefs were clearly a good team, but there was a piece missing. Luckily, Kansas City drafted that piece after trading up to the 10th overall pick the offseason prior: Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes spent the majority of the 2017 season backing up Alex Smith, but he finally got his shot to start in the Chiefs' final game of the regular season against the Broncos. He didn't do anything too crazy, passing for 284 yards and no touchdowns to an interception, but that was clearly enough for Andy Reid to decide that it was time to pass the torch. Something had to change because KC just couldn't break through, and it turned out that was quarterback. Since making the switch, they've made 6 straight AFC Championship games. In the 2018 offseason, again, Andy Reid traded an aging 33-year-old quarterback to Washington. Only this time around, it was Alex Smith. To say that Patrick Mahomes hit the ground running would be quite the understatement. In his first season starting, he passed for 5,097 yards and a league-leading 50 touchdowns. He went on to win MVP and put the league on watch. He won his second MVP in 2022 after he led the league with 5,250 yards and 41 touchdowns. 2 MVPs alone make you a great, but Mahomes has had plenty of team success to go along with it too. In his first season starting, he took the Chiefs to the AFC Championship game, but it wasn't their time quite yet, as they lost to the Patriots in overtime. It was a heartbreaker, but the Chiefs would be back. The Chiefs had a very busy 2019 offseason. They traded away 2014 first-rounder Dee Ford and then traded for Frank Clark from the Seahawks. They also went on to sign Tyrann Mathieu, so it was clearly a big big offseason, and it paid off. The Chiefs went 12-4, and this time they won the AFC Championship game. It came after a scare in the divisional round where they trailed 24-0 to the Texans, but somehow came back to win 51-31. They faced the Titans in the AFC Championship and won 35-34, setting up a Super Bowl matchup against the San Francisco 49ers. Another game where the Chiefs had to come back from behind. Down 10 points entering the fourth quarter, the Chiefs stormed back to win 31-20 for their first Super Bowl victory since 1969. A dynasty was born that day. It was the first of 3 Super Bowls, and Patrick Mahomes won Super Bowl MVP in all of them. The Chiefs had another solid offseason in 2020, drafting Willie Gay in the second round and 2 rounds later, taking L'Jarius Sneed, 2 good starters now. Once again, the Chiefs dominated the regular season and rolled on to the AFC Championship where they beat the Bills to advance to their second straight Super Bowl. This time, it came against the Buccaneers and Tom Brady, but this year's game would end quite differently than 2019. Like 2 years before, Brady still had Mahomes' number, and Tampa Bay won 31-9. Mahomes was swarmed all game, and the Bucs just dominated. The reality is, it's hard to win back-to-back, and that's why it's so rare. In the 2021 offseason, the Chiefs really built what is now their offensive line, signing Joe Thuney and drafting Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. They also took key contributors Nick Bolton and Noah Gray too. The Chiefs went 12-5, and after narrowly making it past the Bills in the divisional round, they made another AFC Championship game. However, this time around, it was the Bengals and Joe Burrow that found themselves in the Super Bowl 2 weeks later, where they lost to the Rams. 4 straight AFC Championship games, 3 Super Bowl appearances, and 2 Super Bowl victories. The Chiefs were a force to be reckoned with, but that was really only the beginning. In the 2022 offseason, Kansas City traded away Tyreek Hill, which many speculated would be the start of their downfall, but that just wasn't the case. They had an important draft thanks to 2 first-round picks, which they used on Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis. Then, late in the 7th round, they took Isaiah Pacheco, the angriest runner in the NFL. Again, it was another good draft, and that helped the Chiefs go 14-3 as they won the AFC West and got their revenge on the Bengals in the AFC Championship game, winning 23-20 to return back to the Super Bowl to face the dominant Philadelphia Eagles. The Chiefs won a close 38-35 contest to return back to the top of the mountain, and it didn't take long to get right back. The Chiefs had another good draft, taking Rashee Rice in the 2nd round and Shamari Connor in the 4th. Kansas City went on to go 11-6 and appeared to be in a down season, but that wasn't the case in the playoffs. The Chiefs ran through the Dolphins before beating the Bills and then the Ravens in the AFC Championship game to return back to the Super Bowl to face off against the Niners once again. Much like the time before, the Chiefs came out on top, this time in overtime 25-22, walking off the big game with a Mecole Hardman touchdown, a moment that truly established a dynasty. 3 titles and 4 appearances in 5 years. The Chiefs are already a real dynasty. And by the way, Patrick Mahomes is only 28.